It's time for another Dice Tower review with Tim Jennette.
Hey everyone, Tim Jennette the Metal Meeple here, and in this video we're taking a look at the second expansion to Good Cop, Bad Cop. It's called Undercover. It was published in 2016 by Overworld Games, designed by the same two people, Brian and Clayton. The artist is Dwayne Biddix. It's a game for 4 to 8 players, and it takes about 20 minutes depending on how many people you have. Now, if you're not familiar with Good Cop, Bad Cop, it's essentially a game where you get 3 cards in front of you and majority rules. So if you got 2 good cards, you're a good guy. If you got 2 bad cards, you're a bad guy. You're trying to kill the leader of the opposite team. And if you want to see the rules for that, please check out my review or somebody else's review for the base game. This is only going to talk about the expansion, Undercover. Now, what this expansion adds is a deck of cards called cover cards. You get one, there's 2 sides to it, and pretty much it's an ability that you can activate. It's an active or a passive, but the more important thing is it covers up one of your integrity cards, and it can't be investigated while it's there. Now, when somebody investigates another one of your integrity cards, you move it, and so on and so forth. So let me show you in detail how it actually adds stuff, or what it does add to the game, and we'll come back and I'll tell you what I think. So I'm not going to go over the rules from the original game, but I'm just going to cover what comes in this expansion. Once you've set up the game normally, you're going to have 3 integrity cards in front of you. You view what they are, and then everybody's going to get one of these cards here, which is an undercover card. You could choose the red or the purple side. The red side's an activated ability which takes up your action on your turn, or the purple one is always in effect. Once you choose which side you want, you place it on the integrity card that you want to cover up. Now that's going to do a few things. One, it's going to protect that card from being investigated. Anytime you are investigated, they have to choose one that does not have your cover. Once they do so, oh hey look, he's crooked. Then you're going to move the cover to the card that was investigated. Anytime you want to do an arm or equip action where you draw a card from the item deck or you draw a gun from the middle of the table, you still have to flip a card face up, yet you could choose one that's under your cover. However, anytime the cover card is on a card that is revealed, you must move it to one that is not. At any time all 3 of your cards have been revealed, your cover has been blown and you lose this, it goes back in the box. Now just for some examples here, for instance this one that we were just showing you, you could choose a player. That player must turn one of their face down integrity cards face up. The opposite side of this, when you take the investigate action, you may investigate 2 separate players. So that is passive, it always happens. This has to be activated. Now, just to show you another thing, the game does come with a replacement lead investigator, which is a super thick cardboard, and it has the new action on here, cover, in which it shows you what you can do. Also, it has these 2 little symbols next to equip and arm, reminding you have to flip a face down integrity card face up. This is pretty cool, and it has a little stand, so it stands in the middle of the table or in front of the player who's got it. Anyway, just to show you a few more examples before moving on, you know, this one, take the equip action, but draw 2 equipment cards. That's pretty cool. It's an activated ability. Or you can do this one, which is really long. You can read that, pause it if you want. Anyway, you can see there's a ton of them. I think there's like 16 or so. They're just really interesting. On top of that, it does add 12 new equipment cards, such as the mobile detonator. When you're shot, basically, if it doesn't cause somebody to win, then you get to choose somebody else to also be shot. You got sunglasses, turn 2 face-up integrity cards face down. If the owner is either or both of those integrity cards do not have a cover, then you may draw a cover. I mean, there's some pretty cool stuff. You can kind of pause it if you want to read them. This one's pretty cool. Place this card face up in front of another player. That player may not be investigated. It's a disguise. You look like kind of Freddie Mercury, maybe? No. Anyway. So there's some cool cards here. And basically the game plays like normal, and that's pretty much it. That's all it adds to the game, but let me talk about what I think of it. So there you go. That's Undercover. Now, my group does one thing that's kind of annoying. It didn't really hinder the game any, but every time we'd start off Good Cop, Bad Cop, somebody would begin the game by grabbing an integrity card by a player and be like, oh, make it this big deal, and then everybody in sequential order is pretty much going to look at that same card. It almost made it pointless to start the game because everybody knows the game's going to start with one integrity card being revealed to the whole group. That's probably just on our end. I don't know if it happens anywhere else. I've never read anybody's comments, but that's what happens. So I was like, man, that's kind of annoying that our group does that. This expansion fixes that. It protects one card that it's on. And I think that is just brilliant. It's such a small little addition to the game, but it adds so much to it because it's, you know, you do have to play that role of, oh man, nobody really knows the same information or can know the same information, because no matter how you do it, then only half the group's going to be able to know what that card is on one round, you know, because it's going to switch back and forth. So I thought that was just awesome. The abilities on the cards themselves, on the cover cards, are very unique. They're very cool. They're very different. However, certain people in the group are going to think some are better than others. That's just how things are anyway. I do think that a couple probably are more useful depending on play styles that are present in the game. But that's more or less a person or a people problem, not necessarily the game and how it's actually designed and things like that. So I do like the fact that you could choose between a passive and a active side. I thought that was really, really cool. It adds a little bit of variety. You only need to get one of those cards. I guess you could just pass out two and maybe somebody can pick, you know, either or, something like that. You know, there's really no rules that state you can't do it. But either way, I do like to see more equipment cards, and this adds just as many as the base game, I believe. There's 12. That was one of the problems I had in the base game. There wasn't enough equipment, but with this in the first expansion and then the equipment packs that they have, you can check those out on Board Game Geek. They're like 5 cards a pack. There's just so many equipment cards now that you don't run out. I mean, it's just really cool to see so much variety in the game, and I feel like now the replayability of the game just keeps expanding and expanding and expanding. I don't know how many more expansions I'd want to have into the game, but I'm willing to see. I mean, they don't add a lot each time, but it adds just enough to add something unique and flare the game back into your group. So if Good Cop, Bad Cop has ran stale for your group, you've played it out or whatever, I highly recommend getting this expansion to at least revitalize it for a little bit. If you don't have the game and you're looking to get the game, I would recommend this one probably first over the Bombers and Traders expansion, just because I think the cover mechanism is a lot cooler. The other one had this it can get convoluted with newer players. So this is probably a better first expansion for you to get, and then get the Bombers and Traders second. So otherwise, great expansion. Looking forward to seeing what comes out from Overworld Games. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below or email me at timjennette@gmail.com, or follow me on social media at the handle below. Check out my podcast at meeplecore.com or on iTunes and Stitcher and things like that. Until next time, keep on rocking and rolling dice.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at coolstuffinc.com.